Okay, so I understand dating's hard for everyone, but I can't even get a guy to look at me half the time, let alone take me on a date. Like, is there something wrong with me? I just don't understand what the big problem is.
I got cystic fibrosis. See, I've got cystic fibrosis.
Hello. Sorry, I hope that didn't scare you too much, but it is still Halloween week, right? Welcome to Staying Salty. My name's Chelsea, and this week we're talking about dating and CF. So, I think where I want to start with this is simply by saying dating sucks. Dating's hard, and dating is emotionally exhausting and tiring, whether you have CF or not. Obviously, CF makes it a little bit harder. And with my video, I want to simply tell you my path and my story with dating and CF, because this is a topic that hits a little bit closer to home than a lot of other ones, because I have gone through a very personal mental transition when it comes to my outlook on dating and CF. And then I want to give you kind of my takeaways and advice on how to date and how to successfully date even with CF. And hopefully you can relate to where I am, where I was, and feel better about your situation or yourself at the end of the video. So to start things off, I essentially have been dating since I was 15. Similar to my life, I never let CF define who I am. So that also spilled over into my relationships. It was never me, the other person, and CF in this triangle of a relationship. It was always me and that other person with CF as a side factor. I never let it control my relationships or dictate anything about me and that other person. It wasn't actually until I was older where CF and dating even was an issue in my mind, and that was strictly my own personal mind, because it was my own inability to let people in and be vulnerable and date from my own aspect. That kind of stemmed from family issues that I had growing up that caused some trust issues, and definitely were things that I never really even noticed until I started dating, beyond high school, where, hey, I think you're cute, we should date. When it became more serious dating and more serious topics being talked about, that was when I started thinking about it. In college, I dated one person for about a year early on, and that ended unrelated to CF. And then afterwards was the time I started falling into, I guess I would say, a depression related to dating. Because I started looking at myself, comparing myself to others, and saying, well, why would someone choose to date me over someone else? And if you've ever seen The Fault in Our Stars or read the book, I had a very similar mentality to Hazel Grace, the main character, where she said she didn't want to date because she felt like she was a grenade. And if anything were to happen with her health, she wants to lessen the impact or lessen the number of people affected by that by not dating and not bringing more people into her life. And unfortunately, that was the mentality I was in for 3 years. I didn't date anyone for 3 years. I got stuck in this just rut of feeling, why would someone choose to date someone with CF? And how would I be able to date someone by having to tell them, oh, by the way, I might die before you? Or these somewhat valid facts about CF that who knows if that'll actually ever even happen. But that's what my mind just started taking over and making me think about. So my trust issues just came full blown in my face, and I wouldn't let people within a 10-foot pole of me. And anytime I would go out to the bar or meet people through mutual friends and they would try and get that little bit closer, I would freak out and step away and abandon the situation, because I didn't want to allow myself to be vulnerable, and I didn't want to let people in. And I think I was mostly scared of how it would affect someone else's life. And at that time, I wasn't comfortable with that. It took me a long time to go through the mental processes of figuring out that I am worth dating. I am worth everything else that everyone else is despite my CF. And to trust people, that there are people out there who are going to accept me for everything that I am. And that took me a long, long time to get out of that rut. Actually, I was in the middle of getting out of this when I met my current boyfriend, who I've been dating for almost a year and has been doing great. And he's the first person since that depression that I was able to open up with. And it's still even an issue today sometimes where he says, I feel like you don't tell me these things. And it's just still my inability to open up and to tell people my true feelings. And I'm still working on that. It's still something that I'm working on. But I think some of the main takeaways of dating with CF is that I think first and foremost, you have to be happy with yourself and who you are before you can ever be happy with someone else. That was a big thing that I had to do. I had to accept me for who I was, my shortcomings, my differences, before I could ever bring someone else into this situation, or it would have been toxic. It wouldn't have worked because I hadn't found happiness within my own self. And how can I expect someone else to love me and be happy with me until I love myself? Another one is, don't date someone who you need to hide things from. If you need to hide your CF from anyone, or they don't accept your CF, then clearly they are not someone who's worth your time and worth dating anyway. Number 3 is find someone who will love you and all of the baggage that you come with and all the differences you have, because you are a package. And I think my favorite story related to this is my current boyfriend. He and I went to one of his music shows, and afterwards he simply said, oh, we have to go put my drums back at my house. And of course, in my mind, I'm thinking, oh crap, I have to do my treatments, I have to do this and that, and we're gonna have to sit at home before we can even go out and meet everybody out after the show. And I felt so concerned of like having to tell him that. And we get home and I tell him like, we have to stay here for a while, I have to do my treatments. And without even blinking an eye, he goes, yeah, I know. Like, that's why we came home. I just told them that because we needed to come home anyway because you need to do your meds. So I'll just go in the other room, you do your meds, I have something to do. And the fact that there was someone who thought of it as much as I did in my mind was such a great realization that there are people out there that will take on your baggage and take on everything that makes you different, so that you're not the only one thinking about, oh, I need to do treatments, oh, I need to take my meds, I need to do this. And that's what a relationship is. It's two people. And both of you accept each other for who you are. And I think my last topic for dating in CF is don't date someone who's going to hold you back because of your CF. My favorite story with this is, again, with my boyfriend now. We were in Thailand. We had just met. It was the end of our trip, so the end of our 2 weeks, and we were ziplining. And if you've ever been ziplining, you know that you usually have to hike up a mountain to get to the beginning of the zip line. I didn't factor this into that. So I look at the mountain, I'm like, oh crap. All right, I'll get up there eventually, like I normally do. Like, I'll do it, but I'll do it at my own pace. So I start hiking, and about halfway up, I'm struggling. But without me even noticing, my now boyfriend comes up behind me and goes, all right, come on, get on my back. I was like, what? Excuse you? And he's like, nope, you're getting to the top. Come on, let's go. So way too many football fields later up this mountain, he's still carrying me so that I could get up there with everyone else. So find someone who's going to carry you up that mountain and who's not going to treat you like a China doll. Because that's one thing that I love about my boyfriend now, and I think is key with any relationship with CF, is he pushes me. You need to be pushed. You can't be treated like this little fragile China doll, because just because we have CF doesn't mean we can't do everything everyone else does, we just do it a little bit differently. So with dating and CF, I hope that you can take away something from this and can either relate to where I was, where I am, and know that there are people out there that are going to accept you for who you are, and to wait for those people. Don't settle. Don't settle for someone who doesn't accept you and doesn't love you for everything that you are. So at the end of the day, be sure to love yourself. And if you love yourself and you're positive, you're going to bring amazing people into your life. But with that, I hope you guys have a great week. I hope you enjoyed everybody's video this week. And be sure to subscribe. Check out all of our social medias. I'll put my links and my email down below. If you ever want to reach out to me, any questions, comments, stories you want to give, I'm always here to talk. So subscribe. I will talk to you all later. Bye.